Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good. We are back, baby, with Start Sit, week number 11 lineup advice. It is a big week for a lot of y'all, teetering on the brink of fantasy football playoff elimination. I mean, it's getting close for a lot of y'all. I understand it is crunch time. We got to set these rosters 100% correct this week with the most upside. This is kind of where I'm gauging this one. This week on the bye, we got the Falcons, Colts, Pats, and the Saints on the bye week, so it's not crippling us in terms of top-end talent, but it still is a lot of players like Alvin Kamara, for example, Ramondre Stevenson at some degree, JT, so there are players that we are missing this week that we require. But let's talk about these Arizona Cardinals taking on these Houston Texans. New life in Arizona with Kyler Murray. He's back, baby. First game back off the ACL of, almost a full calendar year, and he comes back and he booms his first contest, 18 points. He looked good, okay? And I'll admit when I was wrong, and I was definitely wrong. I thought he was going to be a lot more rusty than what he was. While I was correct on James Conner saying he was going to be somewhat on a snap count, this is typically what he was. Kyler was doing the business. Low-level risk for Kyler. Fire him up everywhere you got him. Even though James Conner is on the mid-level, you fire him up as well. Should get a lot more sprinkles of touches this week, even though they did get Michael Carter on this team. He's not elevated into my sheet right now because I don't know if he's going to suit up in this contest, so we still got Ingram on the high-level risk. If Carter does play, he's going to take some time to learn the playbook. Hollywood, low-level risk. I think it's a boom game for Hollywood this week. Okay, Kyler coming back, it was a little bit, more to Trey McBride's shorter passes, rushing upside. Now you're going to try those deep shots that much more. Marquise should find his way potentially into the end zone this week, where low upside does go to Moore and Wilson. I'm, kind of leaning towards Wilson over Moore this week. If you're struggling and are in deeper leagues and Trey McBride, low-level risk, you fire him up everywhere you got him as well. This game should be a boatload of points. We could literally see, a 40-35 contest. No kidding, man. It should be a ton of points. Bills Mafia, Buffalo Bills at 6-5. We're still in the mix. That's 5-6. We're kicking bricks. This is how it is, man. This is a must-win contest for the Buffalo Bills. Going up against the New York Jets, must-win for them as well. First time in a very long time I've had Josh Allen on the mid-level risk. It is very difficult to trust. I've seen a lot of question marks already where people are asking, do I play Josh? And I mean, what's your other option? A lot of them are C.J. Stroud. If you're like me, you got C.J. Stroud off the waiver wire because he is the great fill-in by week 4. Josh Allen come week 13. We do have a great matchup for C.J. Stroud this week as well, going up against the Arizona Cardinals. Or do you play Josh Allen this week versus the New York Jets, which could have some weather in it with rain and snow, so you definitely got to watch that as well. I'm going to go on the mid-level risk. Typically, I say start your studs. You got to play your studs. No more Ken Dorsey. It is Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator, so there could be some inadequacy early on. There could be like an uplift right out the gates because they got a new OC wanting to prove. Last time that Allen played these Jets, he only scored 8 points, and he's coming off a 15-point show versus the Denver Broncos. So hence why I'm saying mid-level risk for Josh Allen. If you got him, no better option. Obviously, you're firing up because he is the stud. James Cook on the good upside. The Jets, while their defense is very solid, they do give up a lot of points to the running backs in the run game. So there is potential here for James Cook to do some damage. And Lat Murray, we saw him run the football very well last week versus those Denver Broncos. Perhaps we see the Bills go more run heavy in this contest to at least control some clock, give Josh Allen, a little bit of assistance and make him feel a little more comfortable this week. There is TD upside for Lat Murray once again this week. Stephon Diggs does get the low-level risk. He is legit one of the only wide receivers in the league this year who has cooked these New York Jets secondary to 20-plus points, and he did that back in week 1. Will it be a little tighter this week? Probably, but I want to say, still low-level risk. They're going to get back to force-feeding a Stephon Diggs, you got to believe. Low upside to a Gabe Davis, to a high-level risk. I mean, it's just too hard to trust at this point. I was going on the notion last week, good coverage versus Surtain. You thought Gabe could potentially go off, but the whole Bills offense was in complete disarray. Now I got low upside on Gabe Davis. High-level risk for Khalil Shakir, where good upside once again does rest for a Dalton Kincaid. You fire him up everywhere you got him, along with James Cook and a Stephon Diggs in deeper leagues. You got Lat Murray. I'm okay with that. Carolina Panthers taking on the Dallas Cowboys. There's nothing but red on my board. High-level risk for everybody except for Chuba Hubbard, who's got low upside, and an Adam Thielen on the mid-level risk. Only garbage time productivity I'm foreseeing in this contest. This is going to get out of hand extremely quick. You got to believe this Dallas Cowboy defense is going to make Bryce Young, have many welcome to the NFL moments again. it's not going to be a good situation for this young man. So I'm staying away from the Carolina Panthers basically in its entirety outside of, bye week troubles. Chuba, you're going to be biting your fingernails off thinking that he's going to get garbage time points. Miles, you can't trust whatsoever. Adam Thielen, only the PPR upside. So you got to believe his floor is extremely low to be like 6 points, where maybe the ceiling if he does get a garbage time touchdown, or if they do get a good script drive right out the gates, maybe he sees a touchdown. 12 points maybe is the ceiling this week for an Adam Thielen. Everybody else, I do not like. Hayden Hurst is out with a concussion, so Tommy Tremble's in as well. That doesn't move the needle for me whatsoever. Bench basically every Carolina Panther you got. I do not like it. Chicago Bears taking on the Detroit Lions. Big contest for the Lions. They want to keep rolling, man. They're in the mix for having the top seed in the NFC, and I mean, Justin Fields is returning. This is a good news, okay? Off the thumb, he's been out for 4 contests. I'm going to give him a mid-level risk. Let's see what it looks like on the field before we can trust it. You have no better options. I understand swinging for the fences, but it has not looked good for Fields, even when he has been playing. So mid-level risk for me. I will likely suggest looking in another direction over Justin Fields this week. Don't necessarily like it. Detroit's defense is still legit. D'Onta Foreman is dealing with an injury while we got Khalil Herbert on the potential IR return. Have not seen him come back just yet, but that is very much the potential. So Foreman with the ankle, we could see, Roschon be pulled back a little bit as they get Khalil Herbert back in the mix. We'll see how this backfield does shake out, but you got to believe that Foreman's probably going to find his way back to the bench in some degree if Khalil Herbert is healthy. Mid-level risk for Foreman if he does suit up. High-level risk for Roschon, and then I'll give a mid-level to a Khalil Herbert if he does return. Mid-level risk for DJ Moore, probably the bigger upside right now with a Justin Fields coming back. As Cole Kmet has been taking a lot of the target share with a teabag, Tyson Bagent, and I mean, now that's going to be curtailed. You got to believe Fields loves to look for the short passes, short outs to him more. You got to believe he's going to get back on track in some decent way, where Cole Kmet's got TD upside, and I think that his game might be a bust this week. I think they're going to key in on a Kmet a lot in this contest. So outside of scoring a TD to save his day, I think it's going to be very difficult. Mooney on the high level and Tyler Scott on the high level risk as well. Not touching those gentlemen. Cleveland Brownies taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I mean, lots of pain in Cleveland right now. I'm telling you, in Ohio general, man, quarterbacks dropping like flies up in Ohio. Cleveland lost Deshaun Watson. He's done with the shoulder, broken bone in the shoulder on the injured reserve. They are starting DTR, man. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, former UCLA product, rookie, and I mean, 4.6 points in his first showing, and he's never sniffed the field since that contest, so it's going to be a big problem. Why are you playing this man versus the steel curtain and the blitz of TJ Watt? Why are you doing it to this man? It's going to be a big problem for DTR. High-level risk for me, and this downgrades everybody in this offense. Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt do get mid-level risks because I foresee a lot of running in this contest. They're going to try to at least establish the run game and move the ball this way, control some clock that way. At least the offense in Pittsburgh isn't high-powered enough to beat this Cleveland Browns defense. This could literally be a 9-6 game. Not even kidding, y'all, man. But Ford and Hunt definitely on a worthy start potential for me, both because they should see a lot of volume in this offense this week. Amari Cooper, low upside because of DTR. Don't like it, not trusting it whatsoever. Praying y'all got better options this week for Amari Cooper because low upside is here outside of some like bomb that Amari just gets past and DTR hits him. I don't like the matchup. I don't like what DTR brings to this offense right now unless all of a sudden DTR has been practicing like crazy and he's like the next Patrick Mahomes in the practice room. So I just don't see it coming, man. Amari Cooper for me, low upside, and it's definitely worthy of a potential bench this week. High level risk for Moore and Tillman. We're a mid-level for a David Njoku. Like I said, any young quarterback, they will be looking for the easy outs, man. Moore could get some PPR upside, but the easier out is a David Njoku. PPR upside, mid-level risk is definitely here for him. There is still high risk in this play, but I think he's the better one out of all of them in the receiving game. Dallas Cowboys taking on the Carolina Panthers. What I tell you last week, stud start for both CeeDee Lamb and a Dak Prescott, and they boomed in a very big way for us. It's a big contest for Dallas to continue to roll as this offense is moving. This one should get out of hand extremely early, and Dak Prescott, again, low-level risk. Fire him up. Tony Pollard, when is he going to get back on the goods? This was my fear. Could this man handle 220, 250 plus touches going back to the fantasy football draft ranking process in the summer? I told you I was weary of it, man. And this is already, they're saving him for the playoffs. Clearly, this is what they're doing, and they're trying to get Dak on track in this respect. Mid-level risk for Tony Pollard. I think you fire him up this week as well. He's got to break out of this funk eventually. This could be the contest. Even though it is a mid-level, we could see one of the better games from Tony Pollard that we've seen in a very long time. Fire up Tony Pollard everywhere you got him. CeeDee Lamb on the low level, Mr. Elite. Ever since Richard Sherman called him out, he's been proving everything I've been preaching about CD. CeeDee's my guy. I loved him ever since OU, and I think he's just an absolute stellar talent, taking over contests on his own. Should be another big contest, even though the Panthers do cover wide receivers relatively well. CeeDee's still going to eat on this team, man. Brandon Cooks, good upside once again. My only fear with this is that if we're trusting it again this week, we may have another letdown. So it could be one of these situations where it's boom one week, bust two, boom one week, bust next week. You know what I mean? So it's going to be one of these situations, very inconsistent for a Brandon Cooks. Again, against the Carolina Panthers team where they're going to try to stretch the field, there is potential. I do like a flex play for Brandon Cooks once again this week. There is good upside. Michael Gallup, high-level risk. He doesn't see near enough targets for us to trust. And Jake Ferguson on the low level. Fire him up everywhere you got him. I do like his game this week for potential touchdowns. Once again, I believe 3 boom games in a row. He's coming in for number 4 this week, man. Denver Broncos taking on the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football. Let's ride, man. You guys beat the Buffalo Bills. I'm still bitter about this situation. It sucks for us, but it's good for Denver. They're back in the mix of playoffs, if you can believe it. But what did I been telling y'all, man? Russell Wilson has been doing well enough to be at least fantasy viable for us. 7 boom games on the season, almost 160 points. He's moving the offense good enough. 20 points last week, and he's still very much elusive. This slippery mofo, the Bills could not get to him last week. And again, Minnesota's going to find struggles to get him down as well. But it is, piggybacked on the same threshold of saying, why is Russ succeeding? Because they're finally getting the run game going. Javonte Williams looks absolutely phenomenal. Low-level risk for me as well on Javonte. Fire him up everywhere you got him. Even though the Minnesota Vikings front 7 is still pretty stout, I think Vontae is that beast. He's the bully. He's the truck that can get through a line like this. I'm starting Vontae everywhere I got him. Mid-level risk for Jerry Jeudy. Will he ever get going in Denver, man? I'm looking for better options if you have them. If you don't, I understand. Mid-level for me. Because, again, it's one of these situations. He's going to pop off eventually. We just don't know when it's going to be, man. Jerry Jeudy, you're killing all of us. If you got better options, I'm keeping Jeudy on the bench this week as well. Where Cortland Sutton is the favorite target of a Russell Wilson. Low-level risk. I believe we can trust him this week as he made an outstanding touchdown grab versus the Buffalo Bills last week. Marvin Mims, he's been an afterthought since like week 3. Not trusting it. And Adam Troutman, he's just not near enough involved as we know what Russell Wilson does move to in this offense. It's not high-powered, but at least they're still able to get certain points to certain players. The Detroit Lions, there's a lot of green on this one for the Detroit Lions. One pride. They're looking good, man, in the Motor City, 7-2, and it's a big divisional contest. They got to win, and they're likely going to win. This team looks so good, man. Low-level risk for Jared Goff. Fire him up. Monty and Gibbs, fire them up on the low-level risk. Amon-Ra St. Brown, fire him up. He's a PPR machine. And Sam Laporta, low-level risk, fire them all up. Yes, I understand the caveat here. There's only so many balls to go around, and they do love to run the football. So it is going to be defaulted to Monty and Gibbs having the touches, making the setup here, and then Amon-Ra being the PPR guy. This is what we saw last week with Sam Laporta, where he was kind of the afterthought because they just didn't need him because they were already playing so well. But I do believe there is a potential here for Sam Laporta to get, at least more touches this week where we got Jameson Williams. He's on the red boomer bust. Eventually, this man will break out. Just don't know when it is. So I'm just going to keep him in the red right now. I got him on some rosters as a bench stash because the talent is too good. He scored a touchdown last week on that nice move he made to the outside. It just got called back on a penalty. So it is coming. They're trying to get him the ball. Once they figure that out, man, this Detroit Lions offense is going to be ridiculous. Fire up everybody versus the Chicago Bears at home. It is going to be a laser show in Motown. Green Bay Packers taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. Love for love is back. 3-5 or 3-6, excuse me. They're trying to, claw back into this, but 7 boom games you can't, fade for a Jordan Love at this point. 160 points. He's doing enough for your fantasy team. He's not doing enough for the Green Bay Packers. Okay, Aaron Jones got to get more involved in this one as well. Chargers defense does hemorrhage a lot of points to a lot of players, including running backs, and they should utilize Aaron Jones in the pass game quite a bit to get those point tallies up. Low-level risk for Aaron Jones and a low-level risk for Jordan Love. Fire them up where you got him. TD upside for a Romeo Doubs. I love it, man. I'm starting him in some flex spots, and I am recommending do the same. Yes, there is some risk involved here as well, but I do like the fact that it's going up against this leaky Chargers defense in the secondary. All Jordan Love's got to do is evade Mack and Bosa and find Doubs, and we're in the gold, baby. I think a TD is definitely coming for Doubs this week. Jaden Reed, PPR upside. He's doing more than enough to convince me that he's a trusted flex commodity in this on this team right now. You will have the ebbs and flows, ups and downs, where you're going to see him, have 5, but you're going to also see the 12, and that's what's coming for a Reed. Very safe floors are starting to creep up for this man, where Christian Watson remains on my high-level risk. Just an afterthought in this offense. They don't understand how to utilize them, always dealing with injuries, while Luke Musgrave is back to low upside. I would rather see this offense continue with Doubs and Reed and see where they can go, and then give whatever target share is removed from them to an Aaron Jones. That's kind of what I want to see, and I think the Green Bay Packers will start to ascend in a certain level that we like to see. Houston Texans taking on those Arizona Cardinals, like I'm saying. But, man, this game could have a boatload of points, man, anywhere from 60 to 80 points on the board. CJ Stroud in the MVP conversation as a rookie is absolutely astounding. He gets the stud start of the week for me. 6 boom games. He's playing lights out. Yes, they don't have Noah Brown this week. He's out with a knee injury. Some said that, he's still not ruled out, but I think he's basically done from what I'm seeing this week. Same as Dameon Pierce. He's still out with the ankle. So you're rolling with a stud start with CJ Stroud. A good upside to a Devin Singletary. Yes, I could give him the low-level risk. Is he going to replicate 2 games in a row, 150 yards? Probably not. I know what Motor is. I know him very well from the Buffalo days. He just ran his ass off last week. Will he do it again? Yes, he's worthy of a start versus the Cardinals because the defense is not great, and he will find room. So definitely starting up a Singletary as well. Nico Collins, Tank Dell. Fire both these individuals up. Low-level risk for Nico coming off the injury. High upside once again for Tank Dell. He dropped some passes. His day could have been that much better last week, but the upside is supremely high. I don't even think there's a cap ceiling on this man right now, as high as he could get with CJ Stroud dishing the ball. John Mechie and Robert Woods round out the wide receiver core. High-level risk for Mechie and low upside for Robert. Bobby Trees. And then Dalton Schultz still continues on the low-level risk for me because he is a great red zone opportunity. 5 boom games for a Dalton Schultz. This Houston Texans team is very fun to watch, and they are definitely making our fantasy teams rise as long as you got those players like Tank Dell and CJ Stroud. It's making everything go in the right direction. Jacksonville Jaguars taking on these Tennessee Titans. Trevor Lawrence and company. T-Law, what are you doing, man? It does not look good in Jacksonville right now. They got to figure some things out. I mean, mid-level risk for Lawrence. If you have a better option, I would definitely recommend taking it. Even against the Tennessee Titans, who play decent defense. They're not great, but they play good enough to be competitive. If you have better options, I would recommend taking it over Trevor Lawrence until we see this thing figured out. The minute that Travis Etienne was stifled, Trevor Lawrence goes to bed. He's got a 9-6 TD to interception ratio right now. This is not good enough to win you fantasy football games. Bench Trevor Lawrence until further notice. Where Travis Etienne, low-level risk, he's going to get back on track versus the Titans. He was stifled last week. He'll definitely get back on track this week. Calvin Ridley, what do we do with this man? Good Lord, it is a big problem. You would have thought by this time they would have figured it out. We're already in week 11. I don't think that anything is going to come to fruition here with a Calvin Ridley outside of maybe 1 out of 4 boom games. That's it. That's all I'm seeing right now unless something magical happens, some magical conjunction comes to pass with a Calvin Ridley. Just don't see it. Mid-level risk for me, maybe flex. I think that's kind of all I'm doing with him right now. If I don't have a better option, I'm throwing him in my flex, and I'm hoping for the best is kind of where I'm going with this. Christian Kirk has been Mr. Reliable, 7 boom games. So far, his day would have been much better last week if he didn't fumble that football. Low-level risk still. I think he's the best one with chemistry with a Trevor Lawrence right now, and they understand each other extremely well. I'm firing up Christian Kirk everywhere I got him. Zay Jones coming back off the injury. He's dealing with some off-field legal issues. Have not seen anything about it. He's on the potential to play this week. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I'm not playing it. I want to see all that play out. And then Evan Ingram on the mid-level risk. I think he's a safe play this week as well. They got to get back to Evan Ingram just a little bit more also. Get him in the end zone finally this year. That would be nice. but I'm going to play him. His floor has been relatively safe. Anywhere from 7 to 10 points is definitely good for tight ends. Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football. Big one. This is the one. This is the game we're looking for. Patrick Mahomes and company coming off the bye week. We know Andy Reid is an absolute beast coming off the bye week, almost nearly undefeated, if not undefeated. Patrick Mahomes definitely going to come back on the low-level risk. He's got 8 boom games right now, but this offense is not moving the way that we are used to. There is no true number one wide receiver, and Patrick Mahomes is struggling to find somebody to throw to consistently who will make plays. Just isn't happening. Isaiah Pacheco on the mid-level risk. I do not like the matchup because that front seven in Philly is so darn good. He's going to struggle unless they're inside the 5-yard line. He will struggle for points this week. You got to believe. Jerick McKinnon, on the other hand, sleeper appeal. Why? Because of PPR upside. The fact that the Eagles secondary is, very much beatable. There is potential for deep shot to an MVS. Boomer bust for him this week as well for me. But I'm talking sleeper appeal for a Jerick McKinnon. If you remember the Super Bowl and how they beat them, it was the PPR game to Kadarius Toney, to Jerick McKinnon. We could definitely see that once again. I don't have Kadarius on my list right now, but he is also a potential low-end sleeper for me this week. Also, he has not been involved, Kadarius Toney, at all in this offense basically all season long. This is a game they may bring him back to life, and if he's on the field, they're definitely targeting him in this contest. So Jerick McKinnon on the sleeper appeal in the PPR upside with speed to beat up this Eagles defense that is very stout up front, where they're going to recreate the run with these short passes to McKinnon, very, very much potential-wise. Sky Moore on the high level. Like I said, MVS boomer bust this week, only on the deep shots that are beatable for this secondary right now. Rashee Rice on the low-level risk and a Travis Kelce on the low-level risk. I am comfortable enough to suggest firing those two gentlemen up in this contest and hope for the best. We could see another touchdown spot come for Rashee Rice, as he's giving us a very decent floor as well and starting to at least etch out to be the wide receiver one in this offense. Los Angeles Chargers taking on these Green Bay Packers. We could see a lot of points in this contest, but the Chargers are hurting right now, man. We got Guyton on the groin. Allen's dealing with a shoulder. Gerald Everett's been ruled out of this contest. Eckler was dealing with injury early on. Herbert's still dealing with that broken finger on his non-throwing hand, so they're injured, man. This is a big problem. Still low-level risk for Herbert. I think he's going to be able to do enough where Jari Alexander and, a lot of the secondary pieces, defensive secondary pieces in Green Bay are dealing with a lot of injuries. A lot of them not going to be suiting up in this contest, so low-level risk for Herbert. He should be back on track this week. Low-level risk for an Austin Eckler as well. He's obviously an easy fire-up for me. Keenan Allen, if he plays, you fire him up at the low level. He's just been an absolute dynamo, man. 8 boom games, rivaling that of a Stephon Diggs, 168 points. They are killing it this year. Could this be the day? Could it be the day? Yes, we saw Q Johnston get into the end zone this past week. Could it be the day we see him actually go over 100 yards? It is very possible, but I'm not holding my breath. I want to see it before I preach it. He's a body catcher. Like I said, he struggles to gain separation, but he did actually get a good slant route. Like I said, he's slant route for the touchdown, I should say, but give this guy the slants, give him the hooks, and let him do the business in the yak yards. This is where QJ is going to be good. Mid-level risk for me on that one. Guyton on the boomer bust once again. He's got wheels for days and could take it to the house, but dealing with a groin injury, we could see the Davis kid actually be sprinkled in the slot a little bit more. With no Everett, we got Donald Parham. He's got TD upside for me only. Don't foresee him being heavily involved. Maybe a 4 catches, 45 yards, and a touchdown if he does score a TD this week is kind of the top-level line that I'm looking out from a Donald Parham. Los Angeles Rams taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Matthew Stafford is back. Coach McVay did echo the fact that this is the healthiest this team has been in a very long time. Everybody's basically here except for Kyron Williams, who is 1 week away from getting IR return. So they're going to once again roll with a Darrell Henderson and a Royce Freeman. I got mid-level risk on Matthew Stafford. I think he's playable versus the Seahawks defense that is up and down at times, and we will see where Witherspoon who he covers. It could definitely be a Cooper Kupp. We could see a shadow event there, which would uplift a Puka Nacua. But I like the play of Matthew Stafford in deeper leagues. If you have bye-week troubles on the quarterback, definitely playing him. Are you playing a Stafford over a Josh Allen? No, you're not. You're still playing Josh Allen, but there is good potential here. Darrell Henderson does have mid-level risk. I do like the play this week for Henderson as well. I think he's going to get a lot of volume, where Cooper Kupp and Puka do have low-level risk. PPR upside is back through the roof with a Matthew Stafford because he knows how to force feed these gentlemen. and they both can eat at the same time, where Tutu would get back, drop down to a high-level risk because Stafford is going to take what the defense gives him. And, I mean, Mafe, the Seattle Seahawks defensive lineman, he's been on fire. I believe, 7 in a row for sacks. That's, I believe, a Seahawks record or an NFL record. I have to check that, double-check that. But Mafe's been killing it right now, and he's going to be coming after Stafford as well. Higbee is on the mid-level sleeper for me, where TD upside can be here, where they're trying to be a little creative in the red zone. We could see Higbee, first time since week 3, week 4, he has not boomed. He should get back to the boom here. I'm expecting a touchdown. Higbee, do not fail us at this point this week, man. Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Miami Dolphins. Here we go, Aiden O'Connell again, high-level risk. It's not good. They're trying. It's not working. I mean, at this point, what can you say? He can sling the ball, but he's still making a lot of mistakes. Going to get sacked. Miami's going to bring a lot of pressure. Jalen Ramsey's going to feel a lot more comfortable. Xavier Howard is going to be good. So high-level risk for an Aiden O'Connell. I foresee some turnovers coming from him, but I do foresee a lot of rushing upside from a Josh Jacobs, where Miami's defense is susceptible to giving up some plays on the ground. Jacobs should be able to run at least decently free. We're mid-level risk for a Devontae. They were force-feeding him early in that game last week, and then they went away from it. Don't understand why they did that. He got, 11 half PPR points, almost 12. I want to see him force-fed. Just keep throwing it to Devontae, and they're winning 2 in a row. But I'm saying keep force-feeding Devontae on the regular. Get that mid-level back up to a low level, and then we'll all be happy. Only 4 boom games for Adams this year. It's been not a very good season for him, man. Jacoby Myers, PPR upside for me as well. They got to kind of get him back going as well. So I do see a lot of Ramsey on Adams this week, or we could see Howard on Myers. So we'll see how this does transpire, but it's going to be tough sledding for this offense through the air to do something, where Michael Mayer and Hunter Renfrow still on high-level risk. Even though Mayer caught a beauty of a touchdown this past week, you got to see more involvement for us to trust. Miami Dolphins taking on those Las Vegas Raiders, like I'm saying. Tua Tagovailoa, low-level risk, man. Fire him up everywhere you got him. You still got Berrios on the injury. You got Smythe on the injury. Both those gentlemen are high-level risks. You're not touching it the entire season. But the good news, Devin off the A-chain. He is back. He's coming back. He's going to play in this contest. 21-day IR return window did open up. Low-level risk for both Raheem Mostert and A-chain. Achan, I do believe that, they're going to give a good split share in this game and then ride the hot hand. So whoever's running better is likely going to get the hot hand. And the Vegas Raiders, outside of Max Crosby, they are beatable through the ground and through the air. I do like it a lot. Stud star for a Tyreek Hill. He should absolutely feast on this defense. Jalen Waddle does have some good upside, but there's only so many balls to go around. And if they're going to be running the football quite a bit, we could see Waddle bring it back a little bit. But I still like the play of Jalen Waddle this week. Low-end wide receiver 2, and low-end wide receiver 1 is definitely on the horizon for him. But stud star for a Tyreek, he should absolutely carve up this defense. Miami Dolphins come off the bye, and they're going to look very good this week. Minnesota Vikings taking on the Denver Broncos on Sunday Night Football. Josh Dobbs, low-level risk, man, even against the defense in Denver that did, play Josh Allen pretty well. I think Dobbs has just been so good. 7 boom games. It's a perfect system for him. He's taken off using his legs. He's absolutely trustable in fantasy sports right now. Injury risk 2 in Alexander Mattison. He's dealing with a concussion. So this would uplift a Ty Chandler to good upside. I told y'all, 3 weeks ago, go pick up a Ty Chandler off waivers when Cam Akers went down. I said, here's the thing. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Ty Chandler is better than Alexander Mattison, but it is very, very close. And I do believe in what Ty Chandler can do. There is potential in this contest that if he does get the lead share, we'll see what he does. Then he can prove me right or prove me wrong. I do like his game a lot. So if Madison does sit, Chandler will be the beneficiary of a volume upside for sure to uplift to good upside for the risk rank. JJ, injury risk. Once again, is he coming back playing this week? He's still questionable on the IR return window. I'm feeling like he's going to play this week. I mean, 6-4, the Vikings are absolutely in this. So you got to believe JJ's going to play. So I got him on the injury risk in the green. If he does suit up, you're obviously playing him. This would lower an Addison down to mid-level risk. But if JJ does return, I want to say Surtain would see a lot of JJ, and that would open up a little Addison. But Dobbs has shown very much, to be comfortable throwing to TJ Hawkinson. who has blew up last week, 24.7 points, if I'm not mistaken, or 28 points, something crazy like that. Low-level risk for Hawkinson once again this week, which does pull him down. Jordan Addison to a mid-level once again, so we'll see how this does go, but if JJ does come, he's going to take a lot of attention to his direction, so this would mean Jordan Addison would at least have the upside of scoring touchdowns. You fire him up everywhere you got him as well. New York Giants, much like the Carolina Panthers, there's a lot of red here, and I do not like it. I am not touching anybody outside of a Saquon Barkley. Low-level risk for Barks because it is Washington. They are susceptible to giving up a lot of plays on the ground as well. They should absolutely force feed a Saquon in both the run and the pass games. While Saquon, I told y'all last week it was a bust potential. He only got you under 7 points or under 8 points. Was not a good day, man. I told y'all. Just no good. When you have a quarterback like Tommy DeVito, even the, elite nature, superhuman strength of Saquon can't save your ass. So this week, Saquon comes back to the good books. We can trust him this week. And outside of this game going completely sideways, Barkley should at least give you a good PPR upside and a safe floor. Where low upside is to a Slayton and a Wandale. Not playing them this week as well because DeVito does not look good as the quarterback. And this New York Giants team at 2-8, they're going to be in the cellar absolutely to finish the season. New York Jets taking on the Buffalo Bills. Okay, and I mean, the Jets, they're in this thing, man. At 4-5, if they beat the Bills, this makes a big problem for the Bills and uplifts the New York Jets because there's potential rumor that Aaron Rodgers could be coming back in December at some point. So as long as they're in the mix, Aaron Rodgers will come back and try to take him into the postseason. So this is a must-win for both teams. Coach Salah said that his team was absolutely fired up all week in practice. Not good news for the Buffalo Bills because that defense is so good, they don't even need to be fired up, man. Zach Wilson on the high-level risk, where Breece Hall low-level. We saw the MO of what they did last week, the first week, where it was a lot of rushing upside for Breece Hall, some to Dalvin Cook, and they're going to run on this Bills defense, who is dealing with some injuries. And they've been gashable on the ground this season from time to time, so we'll see. But I don't think the Bills, the difference here, I don't think the Bills are obviously scared of what Zach Wilson brings to the field, and they will blitz this poor young man into oblivion. So it's going to be a tough day for a Zach Wilson, no kidding. But I do see a lot of low risk for a Breece Hall, lots of rushing upside. Rumor has it that Coach Salah is also saying we need to get Dalvin Cook some more touches. This kind of begs to tell me that they're planning to run the football a lot versus the Buffalo Bills, especially, like I said, in a potential weather game with rain and snow. We could see at minimum 30 rush attempts from this backfield split between a Breece Hall and a Dalvin Cook. So we'll see how that goes. Garrett Wilson dealing with the elbow injury. He's got an injury risk, even though he said, he's like, I'm playing. I'm not missing this contest. There might be some issue here as well. 6 boom games for Garrett Wilson. He's been doing it basically all himself. 102 points for him as well. So it's one of those things I would almost want to sit Garrett Wilson this week, depending on weather. But, I mean, again, you have no better options. I don't hate the start whatsoever. PPR upside does go to a Tyler Conklin, where everyone else is a high-level risk for these New York Jets. Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, like I said, on Monday Night Football. Low-level risk for Jalen Hurts. The best part of this is they're also coming off the bye week. They're very rested, and they are 8-1, best team in the league. And the Eagles look good, man. And this is the revenge of the Super Bowl loss to these Chiefs. You know these Eagles are coming. Surprisingly enough, Vegas had the spread at -2.5, favoring the Chiefs just because they're at home. I still think Philadelphia is the better team overall. Jalen Hurts, low-level risk. You obviously firing him up everywhere you got him. DeAndre Swift, he's been kind of sputtering the past several weeks. Good upside rest for him on the mid-level risk. Kansas City's front seven is still very good. Even without a Bolton, they will challenge this offense, as it is probably one of the better defenses Casey's had in the Patrick Mahomes tenure. So they will give Swift a run for their money. I'm still starting Swift this week on this one anyway. A.J. Brown, grown-ass man, 8 boom games. Low-level risk, man. He's gonna give this one to the Chiefs. This is what I said on the podcast, on the Fantasy Football Podcast a few days ago. This is not the same A.J. Brown that it was yesterday than it is today, and I'm talking, even going back to week number 1, A.J. Brown has figured this thing out. He looks absolutely unbelievable, unguardable, and unstoppable. Fire him up everywhere you got him. McDuff, get your popcorn ready. Devontae Smith, low-level risk. Without a Dallas Goedert, they will force feed both these wide receivers on the regular. Both of these wide receivers should feast this week, and you should definitely start all of them. Mid-level sleeper appeal to a Jack Stoll, but don't play him this week. I'm just saying it's a sleeper because we got to see how the volume does come. Stoll's decent enough, but he's no Dallas Goedert. So I just want to see if any targets do go to his direction, hence why I'm calling it a sleeper, so I can say I was right if it does work. If it doesn't, obviously nobody's going to remember that, so I can just brush it off to the side. But do not play him this week. We need to see what his target share is definitely going to be. Pittsburgh Steelers taking on those Cleveland Browns. And like I said, man, Cleveland Browns defense is legitimately a Super Bowl caliber defense this year, and they lose Deshaun Watson. Big problems, man. They're sitting at 6-3. Pittsburgh's sitting at 6-3. This was a massive game. Now it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Small hands Pickett, high level risk, not touching that versus defense. Myles Garrett and company are going to be coming with the bum rush, and they will be attacking Pickett all game long. But what I do like in the evolution of this offense, so as this year has gone on, is this 50-50 split. It has actually benefited a Najee Harris. It looks good, man. The change of pace, so the defenses are kind of off balance, and they don't know how to guard each one of these guys right now. So you can absolutely start both these men. This contest, I would say maybe not. If you have better options, I would look in those directions. But if you're stuck and you require a running back this week, Najee and Jaylen Warren potentially could be trusted, but it's going to be tough sledding. So definitely lower the expectations on the ceiling. We could get anywhere from, maybe 10 points is going to be like our saving grace and say, whoo, I'm glad they got to that 10-point threshold, because it's going to be tough sledding regardless. This defense in Cleveland's going to be very hot. But on the flip side as well, with Cleveland starting DTR, they could see a lot more offensive possessions here in Pittsburgh, which could wear on the defense. So that's why I'm saying Najee and Jaylen Warren definitely could warrant being played this week as well. George Pickens on the mid-level risk. Man, it's just been so difficult to trust consistency-wise. Only 3 boom games. This guy's an alpha, man. Pickett, find this man. Just chuck it up there. He's somewhere down the field. They just won't do it at this point. I'm going to say no. I'm going to put Pickens on my bench. If he hits on the bench, I think I'm actually happy about it, because I would rather him hit on my bench than keep giving me 3 points in my starting lineup. It's just been that bad. Deontay Johnson, PPR upside once again. And again, depending on how this game flow does, go, I think that he's going to get back to the goods when it comes to PPR short game. They're going to try to run the rock with Harris and Warren, then kind of, flip it out to Deontay, hope he can make a play, maybe try a pass to Pickens. It's going to be ugly. I'm telling you all that, man. 10-6 is definitely a potential score in this contest, man. And Pat Freiermuth, the Muth, he's on the injury risk coming back from the IR return. Still not sure if he's going to suit up in this one. I have a sneaky suspicion he may sit one more week, and then we could play him in week 12. So watch the injury report before this contest to get better clarity on this man playing this week. San Francisco 49ers taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's a lot of green on this one as well. Brock Purdy, fire him up. Christian McCaffrey, obviously no-brainer, man. 9 boom games. Absolutely stellar. Every game he's played, he's boomed in. It's Christian McCaffrey, man. He's like, what did he say last week? He says, yeah, I suck. Everyone scored but me. Yeah, you suck, man. 201 points for us this year. Loving it all day long. CMC has been an absolute beast. Good upside once again for Deebo Samuel. Like I said last week, we could see some more sprinkles of rushing upside for Deebo as they try to protect CMC from being overworn out as we get closer to the NFL playoffs. So this could be a lot of evolution for Deebo as well, which is good for your fantasy team. More rushing upside equals more fantasy points for Deebo. Good upside for him this week in the green. Brandon Ayuk on the low-level risk because the Buccaneers' pass secondary is not very good. And, with Brock Purdy, with the ability to gash good defenses on the best days, I think both Deebo and Ayuk do eat this week. Where at George Kittle may be the, afterthought to target share, where, they do have still good linebackers in Tampa Bay where the secondary is not good. I'm banking on the receivers having a better day than Mr. George Kittle outside of him finding the end zone. Seattle Seahawks taking on those Los Angeles Rams. Gino, he looked good last week. I think he's going to be able to replicate that once again. They're traveling to Los Angeles, so it's still on the West Coast. Gino will be just fine. It's west to east where Gino struggles. Low-level risk for Gino, and there's good upside here for a lot of these players. While the Rams defense, they're coming off the bye as well. They're going to be rested fresh. They are healthy, like Sean McVay said. So Kenneth Walker III on the mid-level. We're obviously playing him, but this could be a little bit more of a struggle this week to find open lanes outside of him finding a gaping hole and then him taking it to the house. It's going to be a struggle for Kenny Walker, but you're absolutely firing him up everywhere you got him. Low upside once again for Zach Charbonnet. He is taking touches. It's just not amounting to anything substantial right now. Where the issue here at hand is, who do we trust in this wide receiver room, man? Look how even these points are. 84 for DK, 98 for Lockett, and then 61 for Jackson Smith-Njigba. This week, I think, with Lockett dealing with the hamstring injury, he's likely going to suit up in this contest. Haven't seen anything to suggest otherwise at this point. But DK Metcalf, I think, is the good upside this week, where they kind of give the game off while he's playing decoy-style Tyler Lockett, and then Jaxon Smith-Njigba is the one that's going to be eating over the middle with potential TD upside. So I like DK Metcalf and Njigba this week to be at least good earners, where if Lockett is playing, he's obviously going to get something. So all got flex appeal for me with wide receiver 2 upside for Metcalf and Lockett. Flex all day long for a Jaxon Smith-Njigba with potential TD upside. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on those 49ers. We saw what they did to the Jags, man. I mean, Bake Show, you better get ready to get the ice bath and the bath salts ready, because your body's going to be hurting after this one, bro. They're going to be coming with the heat, man. Chase and Bosa. How could you give the 49ers Chase? It's unfair, man. Bosa and Chase back together since the Ohio State days. It was a pleasure to watch them play football last week. Get ready, Bake Show, to be on your back a lot, man. Rachaad White on the mid-level risk. Even though I do compliment them on the boomer bust when it came to Rachaad White, how they're utilizing him more so in the pass game, very good stuff for a Rachaad White this week. It's going to have to be the PPR upside garbage time potential that's going to save his day, because I don't foresee him finding any traction on the ground. He might get, 12 carries for 35 yards. That's it outside of breaking one. I have to say he's got to get at least 6 targets in the pass game to make his day relevant. So on the mid-level risk, I still see a bust coming his way outside of garbage time potential. Low-level risk for Mike Evans. There is potential because Mike Evans is elite. He's a superstar. He's a future Hall of Famer, and he's going to be able to get past at least once or twice of this 49er secondary. Maybe an end zone toss does come his way also. Six boom games for Mike Evans. I do like the play for Evans this week. Chris Godwin on the mid-level. I'm kind of humming and hawing this one. If you have better options, maybe take them. I don't feel comfortable with Chris Godwin this week. He's been kind of up and down this season. We've seen some games where it's very good, others where he's completely forgotten about, and then they go to Cade Otton. It's one of these things. Baker needs to absolutely find all of his plethora of talented wide receivers. He's just not doing it with consistency for me. So Chris Godwin on the mid-level. If you got him, I get it. You want to play him, but I am looking for a better option this week for Chris Godwin. Where Cade Otton, high-level risk. There is potential here. I'm just not trusting it versus the 49ers this week. Tennessee Titans taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Will Levis has come back down to earth since your sweet first start that you did have over 20 points. He's failed to get over 10 points in back-to-back contests going up against the Jags, who are going to be looking for blood. It's not going to be a good show. The tape is out on Will Levis, how to defend him, what defenses to call, confuse the young man. Low upside for me for him. He's still not airing it out. I don't know why. They're putting the shackles on him as well. Air out the ball a little bit more and just, keep the defense honest at least. Where Derrick Henry loves to play these Jaguars, I'm giving him a stud start this week. He was stifled last week. Here comes the bounce back for King Henry. 6 booms on the season. He loves playing the Jaguars, just absolutely obliterates them every single time he plays them. I love the start of a Derrick Henry. Low upside for a Tyjae Spears. I think this is going to be Derrick Henry day in a big way. DeAndre Hopkins mid-level risk only because we got to see Will Levis uplift his game a little bit more, and then we could trust it that much more. Kyle Phillips still on the PPR upside. We're in Westbrook, Akeen, and Okonkwo. I'm giving high-level risk. Treylon Burke is still out with a concussion this week. Want to see a lot more out of Will Levis to feel a lot more warm and fuzzy, that's for sure. Last one we got is the Washington Commanders, the Commies, taking on the New York Giants. Check it out, man. What did I say to y'all about Sam Howell? He was the real deal, and look at him. He leads the league in passing yards. He's legit, man. 8 boom games on the season. Some of those throws he was making last week against the Hawks were absolutely big boy stuff, man. Elite throws from Sam Howell. He's a great quarterback, and he's just scratching the surface. Everybody that dogged him and said, yeah, he's not a first-round talent, I told y'all he was the most pro-ready quarterback coming out of his draft class. Give me my flowers where I need them. But Sam Howell, low-level risk versus Giants this week. Brian Robinson, equally low-level risk because we got Antonio Gibson on the injury. He's out of this contest. I got it down here as a questionable, but he's been recently said to be out. So they're going to have Chris Rodriguez and Brian Robinson, where Brian Robinson is very capable of catching the ball as well. Don't foresee a lot of Rodriguez in this contest. Robinson is that good player. He's going to have a very good day versus Giants defense that is dealing with a lot of injuries. Here's the problem, okay? Sam Howell spreads it around to every single player on this team. He had 10 targets to 10 different players last week. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Logan Thomas. Mid-level risk, low upside, and then mid-levels for both Samuel and Thomas, respectively. This is kind of where I'm going. Pick your poison. It's going to be very difficult to decipher. So at first, I'm going to say Terry's the number one. You obviously got to believe. 5 points killed us last week because I thought Terry was going to have a very good day. Sam Howell just spread the ball to everybody. He got Diami Brown involved. He's getting Pringle involved. Like, other guys are getting involved in this contest. And we got to trust Terry McLaurin's got to have a bounce back versus the Giants. You got to believe it's coming, man. We've been waiting too long. So we'll give Terry the mid-level, but the start this week, Jahan, low upside. Keep him on the bench. He's just so inconsistent. He will kill your team, your fantasy team this week. Curtis Samuel does come back, so you got to believe some PPR upside is going to be here as well. I believe he played last week as well, but he comes back. He's off the injury report. I should say it that way. So mid-level risk in his second contest back from injury. I think Samuel gets a PPR upside where Logan Thomas is only going to be saved by a touchdown. I foresee a bust game coming for a Logan Thomas this week. But there you have it. That is week number 11. Starts it. Lineup advice. I hope that my advice is helping y'all. I'm leading a lot of my leagues right now, doing very well fantasy football-wise. Only one league I am in the dumpster, and we're doing good, man. Playoffs are coming, so hopefully my advice is definitely helping you guys out as we continue to move forward in this. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, throw your starts and questions in the comments. I will definitely help y'all out, but we'll see you next time. I am out.